Welcome to the Christmas edition of the Issues of Sports, along with the Rude Dog, Rudy Reyes. I am EMAC, Evan Makovsky. We wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Happy New Year. We roll it all into one right here. And we are talking about the spirit of Christmas and giving. No, taking. That's right. We're talking about taking. And that is the NFL, the National Football League, the Shield, taking Christmas Day from the NBA. First, some backstory, and I've covered the NBA. I used to cover the Lakers in the early 2000s. I covered a Christmas Day game when they had Kobe and Shaq. It was everything. You go back to Jordan. Jordan used to play on Christmas Day. They would always put the marquee stars on Christmas Day, whether it's Kobe, Shaq, LeBron. A lot of times they would do a rematch of the NBA Finals on Christmas Day. A lot of people felt that really, because the NBA season's too long, that Christmas Day is when it starts. Enter the National Football League, who is not here at the beginning. They've been around, but now they are taking whatever they want. Okay, so you have in the background, Rude Dog, you have, is the NBA falling? Are people not interested with ratings down? But we're here to talk specifically about Christmas. The NFL is putting a Beyonce concert on top of this, on top of 2 games on Netflix that they reportedly paid $75 million each for, and it's going to be the Chiefs. That's the reason that they played on Saturday. It'll be the Chiefs and the Steelers, and it will be followed by the Ravens and the Houston Texans. Now, hold on. I'm not saying the NBA did anything. They have 5 games scheduled on Christmas Day. The Spurs at the Knicks, the Timberwolves at the Mavs, the Sixers at the Celtics, the Lakers at the Warriors, LeBron, Steph, Nuggets, Suns. People don't care. People don't care because the NFL rules the roost. And Netflix is, they just did the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson thing. They had streaming issues, but supposedly they are pulling out all the stops. It's these tech companies. Reportedly, they got J.J. Watt. They're borrowing him from CBS. Noah Eagle, Ian's kid, is calling one game. But they are paying some of these announcers, I've heard, close to 6 figures for this game or whatever. So, I mean, just here comes the big boys on the block. Everybody, it doesn't even matter. Like the NBA is like, that, Rude Dog. I just gave you so much to work with. Just go work with it.
There's a lot to work with here. First of all, ho, ho, ho for all those who are happy this time of year. And I know who's not happy this time of year, and that's the NBA. Not only is it not the NBA, it is not going to ever be the NBA. And here's why. The NFL is in the middle of, at least at the tail end, with 3 games left in the season, to be the marquee playoff contending matchups that are going to draw in the same people they would have otherwise drawn in on Sunday or Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football. No, it gets better. Now we have Netflix. You mentioned Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Okay, great, wonderful. 80,000 people cannot be wrong, which is the amount of people claiming to have streaming problems based on their system. Now, Netflix has retorted and stated that based on what they learn, that they recognize there's certain things they have to put in place in order to not make this a debacle, which will leave people in the dark. However, the NBA, on the opposite side of that coin, you mentioned the Lakers, you mentioned marquee matchups, marquee players. We're talking mano-a-mano and a fast pace, which is faster than the NFL for pacing, not for play, but for pacing. And for pacing, the NBA has always paced these games in such a way that allows for these guys to shine. The problem that I have with this is that the NBA has done this for almost ever. And because the NFL has deeper pockets, yes, they do. Everybody knows that. This isn't a big secret that they've been able to fandangle, if you know what that word is, for those people that are old enough to know what that is, to fandangle times, to fandangle times, and the ability to get a massive draw away from the NBA. Look, if these are 2 heavyweight matchups between the NBA and the NFL, we clearly know who will win this match. The problem that I have with this is that the NBA has been doing this longer. They have more dedicated fans, at least across that spectrum. And secondly, they don't have to pay triple-digit numbers to get in people to hire on-air talent, play-by-play, or color announcers for that matter, to come in to do these games because that was a part of their schedule. So is the NBA saving money? Yes. Are they chinsing out on it? No. Why? Because they have a formula, and it's been working for almost ever. Here comes the NFL, and you mentioned the shield. It almost reminds me of Captain America and holding that shield up, almost like that's all he has. That's the only available characteristic that he can portray to defend himself or defend others. The problem is that the NFL has no defense in this. Why? Because when you look at what happened between the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson situation, yeah, that's in the past, but it could very well affect the future, the very near future. And that is a day that I will be working on KMPH. But needless to say that this is a live sporting event. I don't know that I trust Netflix to do this. It's very questionable. It doesn't bode well for Netflix from a long-term conversational standpoint. And have they fixed the horrific connectivity issues? Perhaps, but ultimately these are two handcuffs or a pair of handcuffs that rely on both wrists. I just don't know that Netflix will be able to respond in such a way that will get people to trust them moving forward, even though they're going to an NFL game, 2 games back to back, in a situation where they really don't have any foothold when it comes to live sports. So I still question their ability to fluently get these games going without missing streamers and an opportunity for a wider audience to be viewed. Now, don't forget, Netflix has more than just football, and I'm not standing on the podium for Netflix at all, but from someone who watches it on a regularly relative basis, that this is something that you're going to have to look at and say, can they do this or can they not do this? My theory is, if this is Taco Bell, don't order chicken.
Well, I think there's a couple issues here, and they're separate. One you detailed, and that is the issues that Netflix had during the Tyson Paul fight, and there are quotes in there about from that they are working on their engineering. Okay, so I think that that's a separate issue, them and their connectivity and their streaming issues. I think people can find Netflix. They have a zillion, I think 270 million subscribers. I think people can find them. Them getting their technical aspects down is a side issue from the fact that the NFL and tech companies are coming in like the big bad bully, and they don't care. They're going to put on NFL games, and they're going to counter program. You can go with LeBron, but we're going to put on Mahomes, and we're going to put on, Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore quarterback. So 2 stars are playing on Christmas Day. They're not saying, whoa, let's yield to the NBA. I can tell you that 20 years ago, people were looking forward to seeing LeBron James play on Christmas Day. People were looking forward to seeing Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal play in a marquee matchup. I want to say the one that I covered, maybe it was 03 or 04. My parents, who were living in Connecticut, they came out to LA. I got them tickets to the game. They were playing like Yao Ming and the Houston Rockets, and maybe Stevie Francis was on that team as well. I think the NFL has killed all that anticipation. Okay, so this is aside from the streaming. I think because the NFL, in a lot of ways, rooting for your team is the third way people engage. Number 1 being gambling. Number 2 being fantasy football. Number 3 is rooting for your team, excuse the term, that trumps the hell out of the NBA. It trumps the hell out of the NBA because there are people, that have to, watch their fantasy team in the playoffs. And then there's just kind of just the garden variety interest in the National Football League. And I'm starting to think that if the NFL, like right now, they play games Saturday, and now they had these teams play on Saturday so they can get them to play on the 25th, just a couple of days later, they will play games. If they play games on Tuesday morning, they can put games wherever they want. The NFL is so popular. It's a monopoly. I think that they could get ratings no matter when, maybe even in the middle of the night. I'm not sure.
Well, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I always have looked forward, at least to my understanding, I've always looked forward to NBA games. And the NFL was so far in the rearview mirror, thinking to yourself, it's going to appear on Sundays. And then they move it to at least adding games to Thursdays, right? One game on Thursday. And now you have Saturday football, which is what we've seen yesterday. Tank Dell went down, Steelers lost. They had the ability to lock up the AFC North. So I think this is more about the methodology that the NFL has in regards to playoff positioning. Does it always work in their favor? Most of the time it does. Why? Because they recognize that, there's an analysis, right? You talk about the analysis on TV on any given down, thinking, well, 30% says that based on the analytics, they can go for it. Well, the NFL went for it, and they went for it very well, I must say. The problem that I have with this is that I no longer am looking at games moving forward in the NBA. That has curtailed my desire and my passion to go on to watch NBA games. Will I be able to watch NBA games while I'm working? Well, no, of course not. But for those that will be able to watch them, along with NFL games, which I will not be able to watch either, will allow for others to do one thing and one thing only: feast on what's being given. And if you're in that kind of mood, then I guess the NBA is your main feast. NFL could be the side course.
Rudy, wrapping things up here, I'm going to leave it like this. I think that the NBA, we know with the too many three-pointers, their ratings are down. I think that they have massive problems. I think that their problems are that the NFL doesn't care, and they're going to do what's in the best interest for them. They're aligning with tech companies like Netflix, like Amazon, which have super deep pockets, deeper than normal pockets versus just the regular networks. They have a much more popular product. And I think that the NBA now has to pick up the rubble here of the fact that they've lost Christmas. They've lost Christmas. I guarantee you, if I call you up, Rude Dog, during Christmas Day, that I'm going to hear the NFL on in the background and not, I don't know, 76 or Celtics or whatever. That's all. I'm just saying odds are that it's just, and I don't think it's a novelty thing. I think people just want their football. The NFL is just it's just going to keep going and going. And as far as the NBA and their sets of problems, put Christmas on the list of problems, on the list, not Santa's list, the list of problems. So, Rude Dog, I am going to wrap it up here. Happy holidays for Rude Dog Reyes. I am Emac Evan Makovsky. Thank you for listening to the Christmas bite-sized version of the Issues of Sports, and we will see you on the next episode.